Shalom. I'm giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. May Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai's peace be bestowed unto you, hopefully elect. We are definitely going to need it. And the times that we're coming into, as we are warned so that we can forewarn, Lord willing, being of that the hopeful elect, while everyone is trying to plan accordingly. Got your preppers. We're in a time where people want to get religious. They want to establish a relationship with who they ignorantly call God and Jesus. Because Yahweh Ba Shem Yahweh Shai has a certain spirit out there, and people can feel it. Now I'll say this: to be balanced and humble and meek, because the elect have nothing to worry about. At this point, it is what it is. We're trying to serve Yahweh Ba Shem Yahweh Shai to the best that we can. And that's why I say to balance it out, because it is still a thing of walking in a healthy fear. We won't know until we make it. So just to be balanced, because again, these people, man, they're afraid, and they should be afraid. I saw this video. Well, I saw the video a brother did. And this is in light of all the videos I've been watching. Man, in Slovakia, I'm a bit under the weather. So I'm not all the way there, so bear with me. But just in light of all the information that's been coming out, videos, especially Apostle Bar, Apostle Tahar, certain elders going in on this subject, because we see the stage being set. We see the groundwork that has been being laid, all right, because this isn't a thing that just started as of 2020, right? This is something that they've been working on, all right, for many years and decades. And again, from the apostles and the bishops of Great Millstone, giving out that warning. We are warned so that we can forewarn, to let our people know what's coming down the pipes, because it's about to get ugly. We're coming into the bitterness of this truth, while Jake is stuck on the sweet aspect of this thing of ours. We're coming into the bitter aspect of this truth. And with all that being said, man, Jake, as the scripture say, they're settled on their lees, right? For a long time, our apostles and bishops and elders, man, our spiritual fathers and uncles, our big brothers, man, our elders, beloved elders, have been ridiculed for so long and scoffed at. Even brothers such as myself, in our own right, in our own realms, been separated from our families, scoffed and scorned at, and all things of that sort. But if you've been paying attention, these the scoffers have been becoming they're more and more going into hiding. You don't really see the scoffers as much as you used to, because the Lord is bringing that. He's doing the thing. He's bringing it to pass more and more, and it's becoming a reality more and more. So that's why I said earlier, just to be balanced and humble, because we're on the right track, man. Brought this out the other day. Bear with me. And Isaiah 52. And what was that? Isaiah 52. Or was it 50? Yeah, Isaiah 52 and 7. Matter of fact, verse 6. Therefore my people shall know my name. So Yahweh Bashemel Shah is getting ready to permanently stamp his reputation. All right. Very soon, I always say, the names of Yahweh Bashemel Shai, those names are going to ring different. It's going to have a different tune to it. in the very near future, those names are going to have a different ring to them, because Yahweh Bashemel Shai is getting ready to show up and show out. It says, therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that doeth speak. Behold, it is I. And the Lord, what has he done? He spoke through his prophets. All right. Verse. So like I said, to be balanced and fair, because we do walk in a healthy fear, but our fear is different from the fear of these people. All right. Our fear is different. It says, verse 7, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace and bringeth good tidings of good, and publisheth salvation, that saith to Zion, thy power reigneth. And, good news is only for the elect. Overall, Israel will get saved eventually. But as of right now, the Lord is only dealing with the elect. And this is why the Yahweh Bashemel Shai still has the warnings going out, to those of us going out there, as we were, again, warned, all right, so that we can forewarn, going out there to fish the like-minded individuals, all right, to fish the rest of the elect, right? But nevertheless, man, the feet of him bringeth good tidings. So, again, we're on the right path. We're heading in the right direction. It's just a matter of staying the course. All right. Sticking to what's been taught, sticking to the true doctrine and things of that nature, man. Which is Jake is veering off, right? Jake is bored. Jake is counting the Lord for slack and all these things, and that's why they're going to get caught up as the gates of hell are getting ready to be open. All right. But like I was saying, and I went ahead and looked this up, which I got here, but the brother by the name of Tazapanya Banyamian, it's like he's either from the DC or Baltimore camp. He did a video going into this article, which I have here. And this came out in 2016, all right, about an ex-ICE agent. Before he deleted himself, he had this note. Now, this could be one of those things where, the elite set up, right, to where one of those predictive programming type of things, where they put this out there. They might have sacrificed this individual, all right, or it can be legit, I had certain of those questions, but the fact that, again, reading this article, as it says, a habitual purveyor of misinformation leveraged the tragic suicide of an ICE agent to make outlandish and false claims about his death. So that part right there, for me, like I said, I had those questions. But the fact, when Esau tries to cover things up and make it seem like it's misinformation on all these other things and things like that, because I do believe this was on the news when it happened. Again, this was back in 2016. So, but nevertheless, how relevant it is, how much it applies to what we see going on right now, which is why the brother did the video that he did. The Lord willing, I remember. I'll post that video in this description. But and also why, I just wanted to put my 2 cents on it as well. All right. So getting into this article. All right. So as it says, on May 9th, 2016, the unreliable website Superstation 95 claimed that an immigration and customs enforcement agent left a suicide note in New York City, warning that a number of frightening conspiracy theories were about to come to pass. And again, as we see more and more, these conspiracy theories turning out more and more to be fact. What was a joke is not so funny. What was funny at one point is not so funny anymore. All right, more is becoming more prophecy. More and more is becoming everyone's reality. And it's just a matter of the Wadi Yahweh Bashmal Shah for giving us the opportunity to, be on this side of the spectrum, so to say. The Lord allowed us through prophecy to get ahead of the game. Because as I was saying in the beginning, everyone's putting their chips in on everything else but Yahweh Bashmal Shai. Meanwhile, the elect, they're putting all their chips in on Yahweh Bashmal Shai. It's all we got. So again, man, as things are getting more spiritual, man, things are getting more spiritual. I know brothers are getting more emotional, just cleaving on to Yahweh Bashmal Shai more, because we feel the presence of the Lord. Like I said, everyone has a certain feeling of anticipation, right? Everyone's feeling it. The Lord is doing his thing. The Lord has a certain spirit out there. Everyone just has this eerie feeling, But again, we've been given the opportunity to get ahead of the curve. All right. And we feel the presence of the Lord, so that's why our stock lies. And again, it's just a matter of the Lord seeing us through this into the end. But reading the article, after writing a lengthy suicide note exposing terrifying plans the government has for American citizens, a U.S. customs agent walked onto a pier in NYC and blew his brains out. Now, like I said, this could be one of those things Esau set up. I mean, it could be legit. Hell, for all we know, this individual could have been a Jake. Because that guilty conscience, and we know Esau, he doesn't have a guilty conscience. I mean, so it could be a number of things, but the fact that they're basically trying to say that this is satire, it's fake and whatnot. Well, that's why I'm just going to go ahead and speak on it. It says sources inside the New York City Police Department have revealed to Superstation 95 the contents of a suicide note found on the body, and they are utterly frightening. The note, which says it was written over the course of a full week in advance, outlines why the officer chose to shoot himself. So while the hopeful elect are taking getting on the bandwagon now, hey, you got, and there's going to be more and more, and that's another thing. Like I said, it's very spiritual. We're in very spiritual times. I've been having a lot of premonitions, man. A lot of premonitions, not even dreams or visions. I'm talking about premonitions, and not to sound deep or like I'm on a level or anything, because, I just keep a lot of them to myself, I just keep them to myself, But I've been having a lot of premonitions, man. And one of those premonitions, and I believe I've said this before, it's like I said, I say certain things on camera, man, about these premonitions. And I'll say these things on live, when we're doing the camp or whatnot, man. And the shit be happening. The shit be happening. The shit comes to pass. So one of those premonitions, one of those things that I can foresee. And Slakia again, man. Yeah, because on the plantation, I'm feeling well, but still got to do this shit. So bear with me. But one of those premonitions, one of those things I foresee happening is, more mass unalivings, because when you go into those downtown areas, man, there's a lot of high-rise buildings, man. And I be looking at those buildings, man, and I see it while we're doing live or while our brothers are fellowshipping. Hey, this is going to be people jumping out those buildings, man. So a lot of people are going to sort of say, try to get ahead of the curve and just off themselves, And the Lord's not going to grant a lot of people that opportunity, that privilege, because that's what you call taking the easy way out. And Yahweh Shemashah has it out for you. Hey, He's going to make you feel every ounce of pain and agony, every ounce of misery. He's going to make you feel it. So to certain individuals that try to take the easy way out, jumping off the 50th floor, hey, the Lord will have it to where you survive that shit and you end up getting paralyzed, right? And you end up getting eaten to death by a damn bear or something. And the Lord will have it to where you feel it, get eaten alive. So as I read, hey, the Lord's getting ready to permanently stamp his name, all right, on the earth. All right, the Lord is getting ready to make His name known. Again, the names of Yahweh Bashim Shah are going to ring different. It's going to have a different tune to it. So going into this suicide note, it says, in quote, "The America I grew up in and cherished has been murdered by its own federal government. Our Constitution has become meaningless and our laws politicized so badly." And we're not seeing this now. It's all an orchestrated chaos. It's all a controlled demolition. All right, blue against red, right? States that have been for the longest talking about seceding from the Union, right? You got this whole thing with Trump and the federal government, right? And Trump not wanting to or what is it, man? Fund these sanctuary cities, right? Because certain states, man, they don't want to abide. they don't want to get down with the program, and basically conducting these cruel acts with this whole ICE and the immigration, and just all things of that sort, right? They're politicizing this whole government shutdown. Esau, he's just weaponized everything. Why? Because he's an unfit ruler. All right. So he has to stir this chaos. All right. He has to. He has to shake the hornet's nest, man. Because one of the things that is prophesied in the scripture is a civil unrest, and again, we see the groundwork being laid for that. So just this alone is, we're already seeing these things take place. It says our elected officials are, to a person, utterly corrupt and completely devoid of any love or respect for the country which pays them. To them, everything is about getting and keeping power and making illicit money from backroom deals. And this is why we're going to see sedition of men pursuant to 2 Ezra 15, right? When people find out that these so-called elected leaders, right, these people, these individuals in these positions of power that are supposed to look after the little guy, so to say. They're supposed to be on behalf of the average people, right? The more and more comes out that these people are full of shit, well, this is what we're going to see, all right? 2nd Edges 15. In verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And, I read this chapter. Well, I didn't read the chapter. I read most of this chapter last week. And, overall it's going into America because it mentions Assyria, being spoiled. In the same chapter, going into Egypt, Babylon. So it's talking about America. All right. So again, it says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And the swords is just any form of weapon, killing instrument. All right. And people are going to mainly Esau, because of course this is his kingdom. All right. And then, we reached the end of his kingdom. All right. So naturally, what is he going to do? He's going to fight for his kingdom, as he should, rightfully so. All right. It's going to get to a point where people are going to take matters into their own hands, and they're going to take their frustrations out. Jacob's going to get caught in their crossfires, as these patriots, right? MAGA and all these cats, man, go down to them town halls, right? Looking for those politicians and whatnot, right? As they're on the way, they're going to take pit stops to them churches down in Jake neighborhoods. They're going to take the pit stop. They're going to take pit stops to them so-called black churches, to the hood, right? And so on and so forth. So Jacob's going to get caught in the crossfires. All right. But hey, man, these cats, man, these gun-toting Edomites, man, they're going to take matters into their own hands. All right. And stand up and fight against these, as it says in verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So, pursuant to Isaiah 19, 2nd Edges 13, there's going to be civil unrest. There's going to be another civil war. All right. Because another thing that Esau's conjuring up is he's doing away with the middle class. All right. As it says in Revelation 13, when it mentions the rich and poor, there's no in between. All right. You're going to fall into one of two categories. All right. Hey, Esau, he's getting ready to take from his own people. Right. It's another video I saw. And, we've been speaking on these things, going into the bail-ins and things of that nature, which I believe, well, let me not jump the gun. Lord willing, I do a video on it. But, hey, long story short, hey, them goddamn 401s, people's pensions, when you go into the whole fractional reserve, right, and things of that nature, when you get into it. Hey, man, Esau, he's on the elites. They're going to come after. They already are. And this is why Esau, I'm talking about the regular Edomite. He wants to, we all bleed red, brother, right? Because he's returning to the basis of men. He's already losing. So all this is a recipe for disaster. And meanwhile, Esau, I'm talking about the elites, they're drinking their baby's blood, right? Getting ready to go up in them bunkers, right? Because with all this, what is it going to lead to? It's going to lead to martial law. As it says in verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because, from the chaos, Esau will be justified in ushering in the control. All right. And this is what we see going on. If you're paying attention, if you haven't been under a rock, this is what we see going on. You know, Trump is talking about buying up all these for the, ICE detention centers, buying up all these facilities. And what have we been seeing over the years, man? And the apostles and the bishops, they've been saying it. That's why it's not so funny no more, right? Going into these concentration camps, right? Over the years, you've been seeing all these plazas getting shut down, businesses being closed. What do you think they're going to turn those into? Right? So hey, it's about to get ugly out here, man. And so when you continue to read on, it says, ICE released a statement. Well, I'm gonna jump down. Yeah. So back onto the actual note. It says, to quote, "I was hired to enforce the law, to capture and deport people who will come to this country against our laws. But now if I dare to do that, I face being suspended or fired because our president refuses to faithfully execute the duties of this office. Instead, I come to work each day and collect a paycheck twice a month for intentionally doing little to nothing. I cannot and will not be party to this fraud, to this usurpation of the law, or to the despicable politicians betraying our nation." The note continued. And mind you, this is back in 2016. All right. And we're seeing this play out as we speak. We're seeing this go down right now. So, because again, this is something that it didn't start just back in 2020, right? Because ever since 2020, man, you have all these wannabe TikTok prophets coming out the woodworks, right? But again, the apostles and the bishops, they've been on the scene, even before the YouTube, before the internet. Apostles and the bishops, elders, they've been going into these things, all right? And the world is just catching up. Now, granted, you got those guys out there, apostles always, quote them, Linda Thompson and, all those cats, right? Because again, to further the point, man, show the point that this is something that they've been planning. All right. And this is a part of why people count the Lord for slack. Because, hey, things take place like last year, when this whole thing popped off with Israel and Iran, right? That was a heavy motion. That was a powerhouse move. But what happened? Things pretty much died down, right? Things pretty much died down, and people, they went right back to sleep. But you just got to understand that there's a time for everything, all right? And just because the Lord put that on hold, it doesn't mean that, hey, it's just done away with. No, the Lord just put that on hold because things have to happen the way that the Lord said it was going to happen on His time, right? So 2 Ezra 16. So again, going back to this, again, because this was in 2016, but obviously it wasn't the time. 2016 wasn't the time. Why? Because many other things have to take place. 2 Ezra 16 and 28. Ecclesiasticus 16 and 28. None of them hindereth another, and they shall never disobey his word. So we can't hasten Yahweh Bashimao Shai. All right. Everything that the Lord said He was going to do is going to be in a particular order. All right. None hindereth one another. You see, so hey, we can't just fast forward to Jacob's trouble without the sea hip. We can't fast forward to World War III, the height of World War III, without the sea hip, right? The Babylonians couldn't come before the Babylonian captivity, couldn't come before the Assyrian captivity, and so on and so forth. Everything was to happen in a particular order, Yahweh Bashimar Shah's order. All right. So, as we continue to read, because again, although this was in 2016, man, this is relevant to what we're seeing now. All right. So jumping down, it says in the suicide note, the officer revealed what he claimed are terrifying plans the feds have been finalizing. And to quote, if the American people knew what this government is planning, they would rise up and overthrow it. And again, because this information has been out there and the world is just catching up. Apostles and bishops, elders, they've been going into these things for decades and the world is just catching up. Now, again, you had those, exceptions to the rules, guys that spoken it here and there. But like I said, now there's just this influx of just want to be TikTok prophets, right? And so on and so forth, man. Everyone wants to be a prophet now. But the cat is out the bag, and this is why, as I read in 2 15, all right, people are seeing more and more. People are waking up. It says, if I or anyone else in the federal government revealed what is coming, we would be killed anyway. So now I will reveal what I know. We in a federal law enforcement have been drilling for several years to control riots and uprisings from a coming financial collapse. And widespread bank failures. And have we not been seeing that for years? You just had some in Chicago, another bank failure, if I'm not mistaken, right? And every holiday weekend, I'm on the lookout, because they say, hey, it would dealing with the bank failures and whatnot, these bank runs. Going back to what I mentioned with the bail-ins, all right, because going back to 2008 where they had the bailouts, right? But when you go to the bail-ins, hey, man, because I've always said this for years. What is it going to take for these simple Babylonians to really, take to the streets? And just what I believe is going to be one, famine, when these fat ass Americans can't eat, and two, when these people, man, when they can't access the money. So that's just what I believe. The two things is really going to make these people take to the streets when they can't eat and when they can't get their money. So as it says, in widespread bank failures, the drills invoked life-sized images of American men, even women and children, whom we are told to shoot for practice and to get used to it. So you see, man, hey, it's going to get real. It's going to get nasty, man. Needless to say, it's going to get real nasty and ugly out here, man. Esau teaches you to have a bias towards women and children, but soon to Ezekiel 9, hey, the Lord is not biased. If you're not of the elect, hey, you're going to get got. And don't we see this every day as it is? From the old to the young. All right. Judgment going out. So, hey, the Heavenly Father, man, he don't get squeamish. He does not get squeamish. You best believe when those judgments, that counsel takes place in the spiritual realm, hey, those angels, when they get that command, they don't get squeamish like, damn, Lord, don't you think that's too much? Nah. They can't wait to do the Lord's bidding. Find out that a damn pregnant woman, she might end up slipping on the sidewalk, man, and get hit by a goddamn city bus. As cold as it sounds, hey, the Lord is cold-hearted, man. The Lord don't get squeamish. You think about something like that, and you in this flesh, your mind can't handle something like that. But hey, the Lord and the angels don't get squeamish. You see, but this is what we're gonna, Lord willing, sooner than soon, man. We're gonna start seeing. All right, and hopefully, Yahweh Shema Shai continues to, through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai on the left hand, he continues to use ice, stirring all this, with the ice. all this back and forth for the federal government and the states and, everything that we see going on, man. May Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai not take his foot off the gas pedal. All right. But this is what we're going to see, man. Women and children too. All right. The Lord ain't biased. As Esau teaches you to be women and children first. No, man. All right. Scriptures talk about how, man, this is not the time to be building up families and generational wealth. Majority of these women, especially Eve, man, a lot of them children gonna be food. When cannibalism comes back. All right, because as we're going to continue to read in or actually that's it. I thought it was longer, but let's finish this out. It says we have been told that the economy is terminally ill and will fail in 2016. We are also told the banks are all insolvent and the FDIC doesn't have nearly enough funds to bail out depositors, which they don't. All right, again, when you go into fractional reserve banking and things of that nature, just because you have $250 on when you check your bank app, that doesn't mean you can just go to the bank and take out $250,000, man. All right. That's why the scriptures talk about, man, that thick clay, that abayat, this whole system is built off of debt, man. And again, when you go into it, because there won't be no more bailouts. All right. In order to make up and recuperate, they're gonna have to go after them pensions, those 401ks, and so on and so forth. And I believe this is what's gonna make people lose it. They can't go to the ATMs. They can't access the money. You see, it's gonna be a shit show, man. It's gonna be crazy when you get into it, man. When you get into the finances and just how this whole system is based off of debt. Because what have we been hearing about them, man? The debt bubble, man. You can only inflate that bubble so long, man. The balloon so long. You can only inflate it for so long, man. Eventually that shit's gonna pop. And when this shit pops, I've said this, man. When this shit pops, man, this shit's gonna get ugly. Shit, we think it's bad now, right? Yeah, that's why the apostles, man, and brothers, man, really put that spirit out there to, hey, pray. Before you leave your house, man, pray, man. Pray, because, man, we see all these road rage incidences, right? As if we already don't see the love of many waxing cold and whatnot, man. I think it's bad now. Man, it says we are told these events are unavoidable and it is imperative that the government survive when people rise up over this. When the collapse takes place, detention camps created under the Female Rex 84 program in the 1980s to house illegal aliens whom we were going to deport will instead be used to imprison American citizens whom the government feels constitute a threat. American citizens will be rounded up without warrants and imprisoned without trial for God knows how long. And does not the scripture say that? Right? Revelation. So I can see them using this whole ICE, illegal immigrants to stir the people up, right? Because one thing is leading to another, man. With the states getting funds cut. Hey, man, things are just going to continue to spiral out of control. It's gonna get nasty, man. Right, man, and that's why going to that second 15, people are just gonna take matters into their own hands. Right, man. It's like Apostle Gabar always says, man. You gotta be a visionary, man. You gotta be able to see this. So I can see them using this event, man, to really play into people's minds, the psyche of these people. People really get riled up, right? Shit just getting nasty, man. More riots, You know, one thing is going to lead to another, and this is Esau. He's going to have to do something. He's just going to have to shut things down. He's going to have to shut it down. You know, you're talking about a new virus coming out, right? A new disease, a new pestilence, right? Shutting certain schools down in certain places, right? But in Revelation, in 2:10, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Why? Because it says, behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. So, you know, that's not going to be every elect member's fate, but some of the hopefully elect, some of us are going to get put in these camps, separated from our families. But it's to try our faith, right? Because as it says, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. And you just go into a complete amount of time, man. Like I said, for God knows how long, right? But this is why we have the comfort of the scriptures, all right? Because what happened with certain men that were locked up? Hey, the Lord, he had provisions, you know. The Lord provided. You know, Daniel, who was that? One of the apostles. Who was that? Was it Paul or Peter? When they were locked up, and the angel came and basically set them free. You know, all type of things. You know, miracles and interventions took place on the behalf of the men of the Lord. It's not going to be any different now. All right, but we are going to be tried. It says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So you see, man, all right, and that's a heavy statement, because it said, be faithful unto death. So what should that tell you? Hey, that there's going to be a lot of deaths in these camps. For these people, yeah, they're going to get hauled off to never be heard from again. All right, they're going to be tortured. All right, the beheadings, that's going to take place. All right, and things of that nature. So there's going to be, you know, some of the elect are going to become martyrs. Yahweh Shema Shai sake, because when it's all said and done, and it's the real deal, man. Pursuing the second Edge 16, hey, hey, Esau, man. As it also says in Revelation 12:12, you know, the devil coming down with that great wrath, right? And also going to that second Edge 16, which links up with that Revelation 12:12. Second Edge 16. And 68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. And you see, they've been planning for years, right? As it says, you know, this is something that they've been planning for years. All right. And some of these cats, they're not with it. That's why you have, you know, cases like this where, hey, man, it's too much for certain individuals, right? It's too much. And that's why it's going to get to a point where, hey, when these unethical green light orders, when they get the green light, a lot of them they're not going to be with it. You know, the mighty man is going to say, hey, they're going to go back into the holes, man. They're going to say, the hell with that. So what's that going to leave way for? It's going to leave way for the foreign troops and things of that nature. You know, that's going to be America's reality real soon, man. Lord willing, sooner than soon. All right. Tanks patrolling the streets, drones patrolling the streets, checkpoints, military checkpoints. Like I always say, you know, some shit that you see out of a straight sci-fi movie or blockbuster movie or whatever, man. Some shit that you see straight out of a movie, right? And again, because it's all predictive programming, a revelation of the method. All right. Because again, as our apostles and bishops have been talking about this for decades, right? That's exactly been the mindset of these people. Oh, that shit is on that, man. That's only in the movies, man. Y'all tripping, right? Well, it's not so funny no more. It's not so funny no more. It says, verse 68 again. Behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude was kindled over you. And especially when it comes to those foreign troops, they hate Americans as it is. The foreign troops hate Americans as it is. And this is something that again, they've been planning for years. They can't wait to get their hands on you simple Americans, you simple Babylonians. Why? Well, I didn't read it, but the earlier verses in 2 Kings 15, because you're proud. Here it is, man. You got in these third world countries, man, people are starving, right? Meanwhile, you got dumb shit over here. These Americans, they take everything for granted. So you got dumb shit like hot dog eating contest, right? People just wasting food. These nations, they see that, man, and they already hate you Americans as it is. So they can't wait to get their hands on you Americans. Because these America's military is soft, and they're not going to be up for the task. So what's going to happen? They're going to get shipped to World War III. It's a one-way ticket. All right, and that's going to leave the back door open for them foreign troops. Be patrolling the streets, killing for sport. All right, it's going to get nasty out here, man. But I'm going to read this last part. Excuse me, let me finish this out. It says, and they shall take away certain of you, being idle, and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. So you see, all right, and we're already getting small glimpses here and there. Again, to go back to Chicago, what happened some months back? They're getting snatched out of their homes, 3 o'clock in the morning. Babies getting ripped right out of their mother's arms. Families getting separated. It's all a prelude, man. It's all a small glimpse. And hey, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And some of us of the hopefully elect are going to get caught up into this, but hey, when you read on down, man, it goes on to tell you, hey, man, fret not, man. Oh, slack it. Let me read on. Because like I was saying, this could be the perfect, mask for Esau to, like the saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. So like I said, Lord willing, the Lord doesn't take his foot off the gas pedal, and he continues to use this to speed things up, to stir things up, get the people riled up, right? Because in the midst of that chaos, and Esau, he's going to make his move against the men of the Lord. Because again, the cat is out in the bag, and he has to do something. All right? He has to do something, man. He has to come against the prophets. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in the reproach and trodden underfoot. So out of fear of the enemy, a lot of Jake aren't going to consent. They're going to bend over backwards for the so-called white man and still end up getting fucked over. How about that? Because it talks about that in Isaiah, man. Jake, they make a covenant with death, but hey, the Heavenly Father being our husband, all right, as the man has power over the woman to disannul that covenant. If he just so happen, whether it be the father or the husband, if he ends up seeing the daughter or the wife, making some vow that he's not with it, hey, he has the power to say no. He has the power to disannul that covenant. So that's what the Heavenly Father is going to do. Him being our husband, 2/3 they're going to make a covenant with death, with the so-called white man. All right. Esau's going to make certain promises to certain of our people, and Jake, they're going to get the Lord's going to intervene. Jake is still going to get jacked up. That's why I said they should be had in derision and in a reproach. So, gotcha, bitch. Right? It says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So you see, and the chaos, it'll be the perfect mask for Esau to make his move. As we see, Trump sending, he sent that Delta Force over there to Venezuela, right? It's being said, part of this whole military buildup in Iran, is being said that a part of that buildup, the same Delta Force that was over there in Venezuela is over there in that buildup. They're talking about with this whole conflict, Trump is about to go into Iran, and well, apparently he has the same Delta Force. So, hey, hey, get ready, Jake. All right. I know I stopped sleeping a long time ago, cause Jake, man, Jake like to sleep butt naked. I stopped sleeping butt naked a long time ago, man. As I grew on this thing of ours, cause you never know, man. 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, doors gonna get kicked in, right? Hey, and when you go into when you go into the whole thing with martial law, man, hey, because this whole thing, and again, this is a part of the pride of these Babylonians, these Americans, right? A part of their their pride, right? Oh, I know my rights. Well, hey, all that shit's gonna go out the window. And these people, they're gonna find out real soon. You don't got no rights. All right. All these what do you call it? Emergencies, state of emergencies. All these test runs that we've been seeing, man. All right. It's getting ready to be the real deal. Jacob's about to find out. You don't have any rights. All right. Esau, man, he's about to come in with those troops and just kick doors, man. He's just about to hit a lick, man. And these people don't know that Esau has laws into place to where, hey, they just come into your house. If you got a certain amount of food or whatever, man, they can just take that shit. And they have certain laws on it. They have certain laws on that. They just come up in your shit, set up a station, take it, just I'm the captain now. And these Babylonians don't even know that Esau has certain laws into place to where, hey, it's unjust decrees, man. Right? But Isaiah 5:9, in mine ear said the Lord of hosts, of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair without inhabitant. So you see, all right, it's about to be a great insurrection, man. A great, hey, again, some shit that you see out of a movie. And I'm gonna read this last part before I go back to this reading. So back to this article, this quote. It says, these camps have been equipped to carry out Hitler-scale killings and actual purge of American citizens by the very government which they themselves created and paid for. I cannot be part to this. So you see, all right, the writing's on the wall. It's been on the wall. All right, the shit's not funny anymore. The shit's about to get ugly. All right, it's about to get hectic out here. And that's why we are going to need divine intervention. We are going to need Yahweh Shema Shai, man. But going back to the second Ezra 16 and 70 again, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So you see, man, Esau, he's getting ready to demonize the ministry, demonize brothers. I remember telling my demon years ago, before all this AI shit, man. I remember because I saw at the time it was like a most wanted poster, I remember telling my demon years ago, man. I seen that once a poster. I told her, don't be surprised, man, because Jake, man, and this is why Jake, he has, Esau, he has to come with the deception, because hey, Jake is simple. For the most part, Jake is simple. Jake don't do shit, man. Jake goes to work and go home, man. Jake might go to the store, Jake fellowship with brothers or whatever the case may be, man. But for the most part, Jake lives simple lives. So this is why Esau, he's going to have to come with it. He's just going to have to make us some shit. So I told my demon years ago, hey, looking at that wanted poster, America's Most Wanted poster, I told her, don't be surprised if you see my ass on that shit. You got my, brother's face placed it on the news, doing some outrageous shit, man. They just did it. Now imagine that. They just had a video. I think it was Vlad, man. That setup, that agent with this guy. What's his name? Goddamn. What's this dude's name? Jeffrey Epstein. A whole video. Like, come on now. All this AI technology and shit. Hey, Esau, he's just gonna have to come with it. But hey, like Yahweh Shai, he's our greatest example. Hey, if that's our lot, we just have to take it. We just have to take it until we get the power. But other than that, we just have to take it. When the Romans came against Yahweh Shai, hey, he didn't fight. He didn't, hey, he was ready to be offered up. And that's just how we have to be, man. We just have to, hey, go with the flow, man. But there's about to be a lot of kick doors, man. A lot of kick doors and houses overturned. Martial law, man. Like I said, in the next cities, a great insurrection, right? So, hey, and mind you, again, man, Esau, he's been planning this for years. Esau's been planning this for years. They've been doing mock drills, getting layouts throughout of all the cities and tunnels. Hey, man. Meanwhile, these people have no idea what's getting ready to happen. They have no idea what's coming. It says, verse 71, they shall be like madmen, sparing none. Right? Like I said, women and children too. All right? If you're not under the protection of a man of Yahweh Shema Shai, hey, ain't got nothing for you, man. It says, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And as I read in Isaiah 5 and 9, man, hey. And we've seen that with ICE. That's why I said, Lord willing, this is kind of like that Trojan horse, man. They're about to go door to door now, right? Hey, man, Lord willing, man, this shit is going to get out of hand. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy. But hey, Yahweh Shema Shai is on our side, So like I said, and like the brother said, the fact that this came out in 2016, but as relevant as it is as of right now, man, because Lord willing, this is that time, so it's about to get ugly, but hey, how about Shema Shai's with us? So, of course it's easier said than done, but we got nothing to worry about. So Lord willing, this was edifying. All praises to you, how about Shema Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully,